Hello everyone, in this video I want to do a comparison of Heptabase and Noteey. These are two infinite canvases, whiteboarding application, visual note taking. There's a lot you can really do with these applications, but on the surface, some people actually look at these and they kind of see that they're very similar and kind of have questions on which one they should go with. Now, both of them offer, again, a lot of different capabilities around visual note taking and whiteboarding, but they do come at different price points. So Noti is a pay once and basically you own the app forever, and then you can use everything within the app. And then on the Heptabase side, there is a subscription model, so you will have to pay monthly or annually for the application. And once you stop paying for it, you can still access your data, your information, but you are constantly prompted to actually subscribe as you're using or looking through your information that you may have put in there. It's always kind of bugging you to pay for the application. But all that aside, let's go ahead and go through both of these applications. The Heptabase application has been around for a while now, and the Noteey one is kind of a newcomer that just came to the market early last year. So you will find right off the bat that the Heptabase application is a lot more mature, there's less bugs, and it just feels more polished right out of the gate. And the Noteey app, while it is really good and there's been a lot of development with this application, there are still some bugs here and there, and you might see some inconsistencies and some areas where there needs to be a lot of improvement. So we're going to go ahead and not do a full deep dive into these apps because there's so much I can get into with these, but I'm going to go through some of the highlights of these applications so that you can hopefully get a good feel for which one you might want to use and then how they differ. All right, so first off, when you take a look at these apps, we can see that they look pretty similar on the surface. As we dig into them, we'll see where they start to diverge, and you do have some huge differentiation between these two applications. But on the surface, the user experience and the UI is very similar on both. So if you're transitioning from one to the other, it shouldn't be that hard to do. But if you're not coming from either of these apps, you'll notice that they do look very similar. Some people actually say, and I've seen in the comments in the Discord and on my YouTube channel, where Noteey is a Heptabase clone. While that is somewhat the case, or may have been somewhat the case in its early stages, I can guarantee you it's not a clone of Heptabase, and there are some huge differences that will kind of come to light here. Let's start with the actual home. So both of these have somewhat of a home area. Heptabase recently released their inbox feature, and this inbox feature you're going to see is very different from the inbox feature, quote unquote, that Noteey provides. This one here is more for your tasks. So that is one thing that differentiates Heptabase from Noteey, is that it does have some task management built into it. The tasks are very simple. You can put them in your cards, you can add them to the journal, and they will all show up here in your inbox when they're not completed. So if you want to have some kind of task management where all of your tasks that you scatter throughout your notes and your documents within either of these apps, you want all those to aggregate into one place, then Heptabase does this very well. So we can see some of the tasks here. If you click on them, they will show the actual card or the journal that they live in. So right here we can see this lives in the journal for this date. If I come here, we have one for a different date. We have these two here, which are not dated, and I do like the layout that they have here, now, later, and then not or no due date on them. I do kind of like the way this here is presented. It actually shows well on mobile also. So and that's another note that I want to kind of bring to light here too, is that out of both of these applications, Heptabase is the only one that has a mobile app, and an actually fairly good mobile app that you can use, and there is sync kind of built into that. So the multi-device support is a lot better in Heptabase because you do get mobile and you have the syncing, and everything just pretty much works. There are some hiccups here and there, but for the most part, they work. Also, the way that these were built, if we kind of take a step back too with the philosophy, is that the Noteey one was built with local first in mind. So its offline capabilities are prominent and in the forefront, and that's why also you can see that there are no real like mobile multi-device type syncing out of the box or built in that rivals what Heptabase provides, is because it's offline first and local first philosophy around this application. So there is no cloud syncing that comes out of the box where you need to worry about your privacy concerns with the information that you're putting into the application. Now, Heptabase on the other side is actually more of a cloud-based first, and then they started adding offline capabilities to the application. So this is why it's really good at being able to sync across multiple devices. But there is that aspect where your information does live in the cloud, and that's kind of the primary storage location for your data. There is offline capabilities with this, so if you do go untethered, you can leverage the application fully once it's synced, obviously, and be able to have all the same functionality that you would when it's online, barring any kind of features that rely on the internet. So that aside, with the tasks here, again, it's pretty simple. You can put due dates in here, or I think they're calling these reminders. So if I wanted this one for today, I can put it today, and then it will show up in the now area here. And if I want to do this one, let's just say we'll put that one on the 4th, we can see that shows up in the later. If we click on these, they disappear and they show up as checked off and done. So yes, pretty simple. You can assign these to people, and there is no calendar per se that you can sync within this app, nor can you do that with Noteey. But from a task management standpoint, Heptabase is a bit more mature in that area and offers some better features for task management. The other thing that they both have journals, and this is pretty simple, so there's not really much you can get into this. But the one thing I want to kind of point out here is from the task management perspective, you do get to see if you have any to-dos. We can see that here we have this to-do item here, and it pulls those into this journal for you, so you can go ahead and see those. And also with and this goes across not just the journal, but it also goes across the cards, that if you're doing your journaling, you might want to have a template set up. And what Heptabase does pretty well with their templates is that you can either come in here, you can type template, and then it'll bring up a template window where you can add in a template into any of your journals or note cards, or you can actually hit the / command and you can just type the name of the template, which I really love. I'm surprised. This is basically the only app I've seen that really does this well, where I can just type the name of the template, and I say the only one that does it well outside of it, Obsidian. And you can just go ahead and click on it, and it'll fill in the entire template for you within that note or within that card based on where you were within there. So I really do like the templating feature, and this is a feature that is not currently in Noteey. So in order to get around this here, you would have to basically manually come in and create a template. You can come in here and you can select, copy everything, and then go back into your journal and then paste it in here, which is not the most optimal way to leverage templates. But for now, this is what you have in Noteey. And if you need any kind of templating features, then you will probably want to go with the Heptabase application, depending on some of the other things you might want to see, because again, there may be some things Heptabase does not have that you really need on the Noteey side, and the weight is a lot heavier on the Noteey side. Now you can come in here on the Noteey side and get a month view. It shows you this month view similar to what it would look like in an actual calendar view. So you will get all your days and showing up here. You can see the white ones have actually some content was added to it. You can see this one here shows up pretty clearly that this is for today. And if we come over to the Heptabase app, you do have these calendar or at least the weekdays right across the top. At one point, Noteey used to have the same kind of look and feel when they first started out, and they've since changed to kind of differentiate their look from Heptabase. But you have this week view at the top where you can kind of switch between the days. You do have this calendar here. and easily get back to today with the today button. Similar to what you can do here, you have your month, you have your day, you do have the today button, but if you want to go back and forth throughout the week, you have these arrows that you can click through and scroll through those, or you can come in here and you can use the calendar and you can get to any particular day that you want. Next up on the list here, we got our whiteboards, and these whiteboards or maps, as some call them, or just Noteey calls them projects. The whiteboards show up here, and these are infinite canvases that basically you can put whatever is supported on them for the particular app in general. So if we come in here, we can see that I have different cards, I have highlights, I have PDFs. You can drop in here YouTube videos. You can do mind maps on here if you want. The mind map feature on the Heptabase side, the main difference with this one here is that it just offers a format where you have both right and left. Outside of that, the mind mapping on Noteey is pretty much the same. I will say the Noteey mind mapping is a bit more extensive from what I've been able to see from using it, because you can actually put in a lot more items within the actual nodes than what you can here in the Heptabase world, where in Noteey you can put in cards, you can do images, and I think pretty much all the different objects that you can put in their library can live in a node as at minimum a link, or at most kind of a full object. I don't really particularly like the fact that you can have this full note on these mind maps within the board itself. It just looks a little weird to me the way this is right here. So I do like Noteey's implementation of mind maps on their boards or within their application. Now again, all of these here are both pretty flexible as far as what you can put on it, but this is where Noteey really comes to life and separates itself from what you get in the Heptabase world. Now if we go back to the whiteboard, the main view, you can see that this view here is an actual infinite board itself. So you are basically putting boards on boards here from this view, and these are the only options. They do give you information about how many cards you have within these different boards. You can change the colors, so on and so forth. So nice view, but if we come over to Noteey and we go into their projects area here, what we can see is that the project area looks way different. And this here is a new look that they have, which looks a lot better and cleaner than the previous look. Before, they still kind of had these kind of boxes where you have your projects, and then you can have images that go in here. So if I want to put an image or change the colors, you can do all that here. You can even drop in images from your desktop and have those in here, or you can even, I think you can even copy paste. If you kind of paste on this board, maybe create the image on one of the boards and put it into the clipboard and then paste it there. That should work also. So pretty extensive kind of option here, or area for your projects to visualize them in a different way. You can come in here, you can order them, and change the actual lookout from the boxes to kind of a list view, and you can come in here and you can sort these also, something that you can't really do too much over here. We come over here, we have this show as map, and then if we do show as list, we have this list view, but it really doesn't give you much more information like you do over here, where you at least have the last modified, you have the created date over here, and from some of the chats that we've had in the discords, there's potentially some more information that will be coming to this kind of list table view here. You can also come in here, and if you have tags on your projects, you can even come in here and you can sort or filter out by tags that you might want to do here as well. So a lot more flexibility and that you get from this view within the Noteey world or application. So you can kind of customize what you want to see in this area here much better than you can over here on the Heptabase world. And then on the map, we kind of showed what you can get here from a whiteboard in the Heptabase world. All the objects I've already talked about that you can put on here. You also have this side pane as well. You'll see both of them does this. Where Heptabase differentiates themselves on this side here is you have these foldable cards that you can put on the side pane, and you can have multiple of these here, so you can quickly get in and out of cards that you want to have set up and open here. You do not get this in the Noteey world. So if we come over in the Noteey side here, we'll see everything that's on the board, and we can see some of the same similar type of objects. We have the mind map, as I mentioned. Here we have a mind map here that only goes, you have these two different directions here where they're either going from left to right, or you can say top to bottom here, and you can change that formatting. I did see an image where the left and right formatting is coming, or they're at least working on it. So I'm hopeful that that will actually be added here pretty soon. If you want to change anything in here, you do have this setting for the mind maps where you can change a lot of different stuff that you don't get within the Heptabase world. So there's a lot more flexible there, and you'll see this across all the different objects that you can put on the board. So if I choose, say, this particular card here, I can change text or the font size. I can change the color of the actual text. I can change the color of the card itself as well, and then I can duplicate. I can add a link to this card. I can delete it, and then I can come in here and I have even more things that I can do where I can change the opacity. I can change the position, and this position here is the original kind of way it came out, to where you can change where things are, and then if you need to have it angled and turned, you can do it here. But they've recently added this little toggle here where you can turn your objects around here. So if the only one that I've seen that you cannot do it with is the card, and I don't think you can do it with mind maps either. But for some of the objects, you'll see that you get this little turn there where you can move these things around. For images, obviously it will work as well, so you can kind of angle those and turn them how you want. And yeah, it's pretty flexible in what you can do on these boards and what you can do with the actual objects on the board. So like if I come over here, if I click on this image here, if there is a way to be able to rotate this image, it can't be done. I don't have an option kind of to do it with the mouse, to click on the mouse and then do it. You can come in here, you can change the size, you can delete it, copy it, add it to the library. We can download it, you can even preview the image. If I was to double click in here, I can preview it. Let me see, I can download it, and that's pretty much it on the image side. So if I was to come here and look at an image that we have over on the Noteey side, and if I was to click on this image, you can see here where I can rotate the image there. I can flip it if I want to there. And also, let me see if I come in here, I can crop this image. We can crop this image to just get what I want to show up on the image here. So if I only want to see that icon, I can come in there, and you can have some presets down here at the bottom, and let me hit OK. You can see that now I have that image cropped right here, and if I want to get back to what it was before, you can kind of come back in here. You can go ahead and stretch it right back out to what it used to be. So a lot more flexibility again in what you can do with the objects on the boards or your canvas on the Noteey side than you can with the Heptabase. Another differentiator is right here at the top. We'll see that we have all these different native out-of-the-box things or objects you can put on this board. It's not just that you can put in an image or put your link, PDF, and other things that go within the library. You can also come in here, and if you want different shapes, you want different icons on the board, you can put those on there. You have all those shapes, icons, and with these two, you can even, so like if I want this icon here, if I want to change the colors of it, you can change the color for the icons also. So it's pretty flexible as far as what you can do with these objects, and you can either come in here, you can remove them, you can change some of the border colors. Each object has somewhat different things that you can do with them, but yeah, I encourage you to kind of go through, because there is a free version of Noteey that's pretty good. The starter free version gets you a lot of different cards that you can add on there, and it gives you the full functionality. I would definitely say you start with Noteey, and if it doesn't provide what you need, then you can also test out the Heptabase, or do them both, however you want to. Going through some of these objects, as I mentioned, you can do text, you can do images. These are kind of basic. Another thing that you cannot do with the Heptabase canvas is you can actually draw on here. So we can use the mouse, or if you have a pen, a device that supports pen input, you can leverage pen input on those devices. And we have the eraser there. I'm going to erase those off. That works pretty well. So I do like this option here. So if you are whiteboarding, right, this is kind of more of a true whiteboarding solution than the Heptabase is, in my opinion, just because you got way more things that you can throw up on this board and present to people, just like you can with a basic whiteboard. You can kind of draw and sketch and do all kind of things like that. Obviously, this is a digital one, so you can get away with a lot more. From the drawing perspective, putting objects and images and shapes and things like that, you are limited on the Heptabase side. We can embed some things in here, so you can actually embed. I don't think I have one in this particular map here, but you can embed Google Docs and Google Sheets, and they can live literally right here within this particular document itself. Let me see if I go to a project. See, I should have one here, and if I scroll, and you know what, I haven't even shown you this one here, is that you have this table of contents where you branch this out. So once you're in a project, you get access to multiple boards within this project, something that you don't really get on the Heptabase side. And you get access to frames, and you can see the cards that you have in these particular boards show up in the card view if you have any cards associated there. Now, I mentioned that you can embed. This is an example of me embedding a Google Sheet in here, and this is actually editable. So I can come in here and I can edit this within the actual Noteey application in the board. So this is kind of a really good addition to this here for those that really want to go crazy and get creative with their actual whiteboards in this Noteey application, and definitely things that you cannot do over in Heptabase. You can put frames in here. Let's go back to our lab. You can put frames in here, and these frames get presets on the frames, or you can kind of take the frame and drag it and make it whatever size you want to. And then, as you see, everything sticks in there, and you can move things around as you need to. And the mind map we already showed. You can also put in here, you can drag and drop files, and this is one that really kind of blows me away with the option of a linked mode. So if you don't want to have all of your information in Noteey's native database or storage area, you can actually leave your files on your local file system. And even if you're sharing between different dock or devices and you're using these, as long as you have the same kind of link or path to the actual files, you should be able to actually even use this on multiple devices. Again, as long as your links are working the way, or at least are the same on both different devices. Now, this could cause issues if you go to a different device that doesn't have access to where that file is on the same location path within that device. Then that won't work. But if you're only like a one device user or a couple of devices and you own them and you can set them up so that the file paths are going to be the same on all of them, especially if you're using third-party storage like Google Drive or OneDrive. But this link file here is, again, pretty cool because you can drop files onto your canvas, and then what you can do is outside of Noteey, you can edit those files, and when you open up Noteey again, it will have all that additional information, similar to the embed that I showed just recently with the Google Sheet, how I can access that Google Sheet in Noteey, or I can go directly to Google and access that, update the information, and then when I look at it here in Noteey, it'll always be up to date. And then lastly, you also have sticky notes that you can put here on the board. You have sticky notes, you have different colors that you can choose from. You can drop those on there, and then you can just start typing whatever you want in here. Currently, they do not have any text formatting options, so you can't really come in here and have headings and bold italics and things like that. But I have heard, or at least seen in the Discord, that I think they're going to change that to where you can have some formatting here, and that will help because these don't show up in your library. And if you need to have text formatting, you will need to come in there and use a card and then be able to get the formatting options like you do here. But this card will live in the library. Now there is an option if you are using the library, which I have not seen on the Heptabase side, is that you can come in here and you can actually hide this card from the library so that when you're looking in your library, this card will not show up. So that's a pretty cool option there. And yeah, so you have sticky notes in here, and another one here while we're browsing down at the bottom here, we also have the ability to have bookmarks. So you can see here, I just dropped this link onto the canvas, and it created this nicely formatted bookmark. This only works for certain links that will format everything appropriately this way. There are some links that do not work. So yeah, this mileage kind of varies on this particular one because it relies on the website to support and supply the information that fills in this bookmark. But as you see here on this board, you can still put most of the same stuff that you can in Heptabase. You can link them together, so on and so forth. It's just that this canvas is much more conducive to the creative person than the Heptabase canvas is, just because over here is more of a text-based research type of application. When it originally came out, I think that was the main foundation of what to do with this, more around knowledge and information management, where the Noteey application is definitely much more flexible, visual, creative whiteboarding app as a general thing, and you can pretty much do whatever your creative mind allows you to think up. All right, so I think I covered the whiteboard and project area of these two. Let's go into the library. Heptabase calls it the card library, and from here we can see all of the objects that are within the library, and you can get the card types. You can see all the card types here that you have for the Heptabase side of things. If we take a look at the card types for Heptabase, you can see that you get way more card types than you do over on the Heptabase side of things. Over here, you can come in here and you can turn these on and off. So if you don't want to see some of these in your library, you can turn them on and off. They give you easy options to hide them all, select them all, etc. And from there, we can also come in and we can set up filters and just filter out as much as we want to when we go in here. And I can change these to only show this tag, and I can narrow it down to just a particular whiteboard, or come in here and I have a custom filter here where I can take this here and I can do add filter, and let's come in here and let me see if I add filter tag contains, and I just did one author right there. I can come in here and I can add more rules if I wanted to. I'm not going to add any more. You have the contains, you have the does not contain, is empty or is not empty options there. Up top there we can do all or any for the filters depending on what you want, and then I can come in here and I can save this, and this is let's just all authors. And once I save that filter, if I ever want to come back, so like if I hit the X to clear this, and it shows now just everything by default. If I go into my custom filters, I can go right here to all authors, and I can easily get to all authors cards within my library. You have similar format function over in the Noteey world, where you can go through your types. Here, I think it's a lot quicker and more efficient. If I just want to see the journal, instead of having to unselect everything, I can hit the little I here, show only this option, and it will remove all of the check boxes from the other options for me. So I think this is actually a pretty nice efficiency or quality of life feature that was added to the application that works very well. If I want to add them all, I can still go back and add everything in there. I can come in here and I can filter by all projects, which is default, that are not in a project. So right now there are some cards that do not have a project in there. I'm not sure. Let me see. We do not have, so go to whiteboard. This does not have a filter option for not in a whiteboard. So that one's something a little different there. If we come back over, I can choose a specific project if I want to, and then in the tags area, I can choose no tags or any particular tag that I might want here. And then on the filter side, we can do the same thing as what we can do in Heptabase. This one is a more recent update to the application, but I can also come in here and I can save the actual filters here. Let me see if I do one and call it, let me see, to-dos. Let's see if I have this here, type. We'll just leave all these as a card. And let's do tag here. But I can do by type, I can do by project, and I can do by tag. And if I do tag, let me see, done. Let's just do done. We'll save it. And let's see if that has anything in it. To-dos. Nope, it did not. So, but I can come in here and I can edit this one here. If I do something needs review. No, I'm trying to find one that will actually show some information here. Okay, there we go. We got something there. So that does show up. That works. Also, if I want to add this to favorites here, I can add this to the favorites, which will then put this over in this side pane here. And this will actually, as you're adding it, which this is pretty nice, is that you can select from one of the folders that you create on that side there as you add that to your favorites. That's pretty cool. Also, from the library, you can add a new card here. And you can come in here, you can delete any empty cards, you can show hidden cards. So you saw I had some cards that were hidden. You can come in here and show all of the hidden cards. Let me come in here and uncheck that so I don't see the ones that are hidden. You can delete empty cards. So if I have any empty cards, it says right now to have 0. You can actually delete those. And then I have the side panel, which then allows me to also open up some additional cards from here while I'm in the library. So this is what the library looks like on the Noteey side. Let's finish going through here on the Heptabase, where you can do the filtering. If we hit the X on there, we can then also sort. So that's pretty much it that you can do on the Heptabase side. You do get a count here at the bottom of how many cards and objects you have in there. Here you get them at the top on the Noteey side. You can come in here and you can do some sort by options, and you can do some ordering options there. And yeah, this is pretty much all what you get here. You can see that it's a bit more flexible on the Noteey side, and yeah, you can do way more stuff on the Noteey side here. One thing to note here is that you do get the search is on here, and on the Heptabase side, the search is actually anywhere you click on the top is always there for that global search. You can come in here, you can add a card in here, and this card then goes to the inbox, as you just saw that it will go to the inbox. It comes in here. If I click on the whiteboard, again, we don't get a filter for cards that are not in a whiteboard, which I'm just noticing this one does not have, because Noteey does have that particular option. So that's just something to note from a filtering standpoint. The filtering just seems to be a lot more than what you get, or a bit more flexible than what you get from the Heptabase side. They do have a created by option here, so created by me, created by others, and this one here comes in because you can actually do collaboration with Heptabase. That is another standout feature from these two. The Heptabase side of things, you can actually share cards. You can actually even come in and you can share your whiteboards as well. So I can come in here and I can invite a collaborator on this particular card. If I go into the whiteboards, which I did not kind of show before, I can come in here and let's go back to our lab. If I do share here, I can share this with another member, or I can publish this to the web, send out a link, and people can actually view these online. And yeah, it's pretty easy way to share stuff. Also, the sharing option for Heptabase is much better than, and much more reliable from what I've seen, than on the Noteey side. The Noteey one, I've shared or published some of the whiteboards to the web, and some objects show up, some don't, some look a little funky. And from what I've seen, that if you update your board, sometimes I've seen where the actual board does not update when you go and publish it here within the the project or the whiteboard here. So when you share this, and this is something to note as well, because there's a differentiation between your boards that you get from the Heptabase world, which is flat. Over on the project side here, you get multiple boards within a project. So the hierarchy is a little bit different here, but what's being shared is the project, not the actual board. So you cannot really share just one single board. When you do this share option, you're actually doing the entire project itself. So you can unpublish, you can publish, you can get embed link code right here. You can configure whether the navigation bars show up, because you may have multiple boards in there, and then show that board list. So you do have some different settings here than what you'll get on the Heptabase side. You can even export your projects here and export to PDF. You can export to PNG, and you can just save a local copy, which is kind of like a backup of this here, and then you can send that local copy to anyone else, and they can use it, open up that actual copy, and have all of the information and everything that's on the board from that perspective. So multiple ways that you can share with the Noteey product, the Noteey software here. And if we come over to the Heptabase side of things, we can see that if we want to share this particular whiteboard, we're going to be inviting someone to collaborate, or we're going to be publishing to the web. I don't think that there are any export options for the entire board, except for maybe doing a full export to your markdown, which is basically kind of a snapshot or backup to your local drive, and then maybe you send something over, but you've completely changed the formatting at that point, so you don't really get this whiteboard perspective when you do it that way. So one other thing while we're on the this particular map, I think we've shown the sidebar here, but we haven't really gone too much in depth on this one here. As I mentioned, Heptabase has a sidebar that allows you to have multiple cards in the card view, or what they're calling here the references. And you also get a table of contents. You also get to see information, and you get insights here. So if I have this selected here, if I want to get some insights, because this is another differentiating feature here with Heptabase, is that they have artificial intelligence. So if I want to come in here and I want to generate some insights for this, let's generate insights on this card. And it gives you a transcript as well, and this is just text. So that's kind of odd there. It gives you, so if I did this here, all right, so it still gives me something there, but it's not a transcript. And if I come in here, let's redo this. Let's do an article. And basically I got the same thing. So while you can leverage artificial intelligence or AI within Heptabase, I've actually found it to not be all that great and usable for my needs. Also, you cannot put in your own prompts. So whatever they've trained this to do on the back end, then there's no way for you to manipulate that there and kind of customize it to what your needs are. There's also a feature where you can add in podcasts as well, and you can transcribe those. You can do the videos, as I mentioned, and then some audio transcription and leverage your AI from that perspective. But I've found the AI to not be all that useful, even though that is a differentiating feature from Noteey. To me, that's kind of not something that I even consider, just because it's not all that great. Okay, and then you have the side panel on the Noteey side here, and the side panel here basically gives you everything here from the library, and you have all the filters that are up here, as well as the save filters are in here also. You do get the sorting options there. You can do the search if you want from there. So you basically get that full library and the capabilities of the library from over here in the sidebar, which I think is very nice. You can put your journal up here, and you can journal while you're doing your whiteboarding. You can show all of your highlights. You can show information about the actual project that you're in here, or the board. So if I click on this one here, click on that one. Let me see, if I click on the frame, it doesn't show specifics of the frame. Or if I click on a card, it will show information about, or should show information about, the actual cards as well. So if I click on that card, yeah, we can see it does change there. And then you can also pull up a map here, and you can even open up a map over here. So if I was to click there and open up this map, now I can have two maps open, or boards side by side. I can go ahead and collapse and open up everything here, and yeah, I can work on two different things here at the same time. And you do not get any option to say drag and drop stuff from one to the other, but you can at least have two views open to do two different boards at the same time. You will notice here on this board you do not get the options that you do here at the bottom for navigation, but you can come in here if you want, and you can kind of swap those from one side to the other if you want the one here in the side pane to be the primary, and for the other one to kind of be that secondary option over here. So this is pretty nice. So the sidebar feature over here does offer a bit more, and I think it really kind of again points out the flexibility that you're being given within this app to kind of do more than, you know, the typical sidebar type stuff that you would get out of there. And yeah, some people might use this, some people might not. I don't open up a project in the side pane very often, so not as useful for me, but there could be some people that want to have that split pane view as an option so that they can see both or multiple projects at the same time. Another thing that you do get here, let's go ahead and we'll swap this back, and we'll change this, and we'll just close this here. One other thing you do get here is that if I was to come in here, you can open these up. Let me see, we can go ahead and put those in a pop-up here, and what you can do here is you can have these set up in floating windows also. So I have that as a floating window. If I was to, let me see, do I have any other cards on here? Got one right here. Open this one here up in a floating window, and you can have multiple floating windows up. You can continually do this here. It does get a little bit crowded in here, especially if you have a smaller screen. But if you want to have multiple cards up, you can do it this way. And then when you don't want them to be up, you can either X out of them. You can go ahead and unpin them so that they don't stay open in your deal here. If I open up the side pane there, you can see it sits on top there. And if I open up that one, you can see it sits on top there. So it sits on top of basically every element within the UI, even, let me see, even in the side pane there. So the floating objects are always there if you want to use them for something, either quick reference or quick note taking. All right, so let's move on to the tags. They both do have tag capabilities. They both do pretty much the same thing. You got a bunch of tags here that you can add in. I have all these tags that were imported in when I did an import. One thing you might not want to do is do an import from your, I did this from Obsidian, and all these tags came in. And there is no way to really like multi-select these things and be able to delete or group or anything like that. So that's one of kind of my gripes with from the tagging area here, is that you cannot multi-select tags in order to either delete, move, group, perform, you know, those group type actions on them. But with that said, you also cannot do it on the Noteey side. So you cannot kind of select multiple tags at the same time. If I want to click on one and kind of select it here or do an edit, it opens up the one. There's no way to again select multiple of these and perform group type actions. It's such a hindrance here to perform actions on these one by one that yeah, I'm reluctant to even kind of come over there and do that. But I've mentioned it to Heptabase in the Discord channel. I haven't really seen any movement on having group actions for tags, so it kind of is what it is. And on the Noteey side, I think that's something that I will kind of definitely mention over there, but I've been a bit more diligent in not importing anything with tags and starting off fresh over here, so I don't make the same mistake that I did here on the Heptabase side, and then have something that I need to clean up and don't have an efficient way to do that cleanup. But similar to what you can do on both here, you can create groups. You can come in here and you can put in your different tags. I think if I come in here, let's do a new tag here, and you can see I have one called quote there. Let's do another one called quote, and I'm going to create. It says it already exists, and this is good, so you cannot create multiple tags here with the same name. That is good. You cannot do that over here as well. So if I have one here, I have one called to do. If I do to do and I do create, we'll see that it actually acted as if it did it. So it didn't prompt with the fact that I already have one in here like we did on Heptabase. As I mentioned, it is a bit more polished over here. It didn't show that it did not create, but it did not create it. So I don't see an extra one which would have shown up here in this ungrouped area. If I click out, come back, we can see it's still not there. So you can also come in here and you can assign colors to your tag. So if I edit this here, I can come in here and I can put a color. I can change the actual group again that is sitting in. You can see I have all these different groups from there. And if I come over here, I can edit this and I can do basically rename it. That's pretty much all you get here. So no color options and no option to actually, let me come in here and click this again. No option to even add it to a group from here. If I was to come here, let me see, rename group. I can drag and drop them into the group, but you cannot right click and say add to group. Okay, so yeah. And then next on the list here is you have your options, your highlights. And the highlights over here, you can actually pull from Readwise. So for some people, if you use Readwise, that's going to be a big benefit where you can pull all that stuff in. It does come in here and have the highlights separated by whatever book or PDF or an object that your object. It does come in here and it separates nicely what your highlights are linked to. So if you're pulling into Readwise, you can see the Readwise symbol there. If you have PDFs, you have those showing up, and then you have the parent, which is here at the top. You can click on it and then it shows the actual highlights over here on the side. You can come in here and you can add notes to these. If you come into the highlights for Noteey, we can click on the different types that we want to have, because you can actually filter out the highlights, where over here there really is no filtering option. You can search and find your highlights, but there are no filtering, which would be nice over here, especially because this list, if you have Readwise, this list gets super long. So just having an option to be able to filter out your highlights by whatever type they are would be nice. You can even filter by projects that the highlights are in, or even tags. So that's pretty helpful there. And then you just click on the parent object, which is here, and then you can see the highlights from this particular view here. So you can see I have a highlight there. It takes me to the highlight. Oh, and the highlights over here, and actually in Heptabase as well, are pretty nice, because you can even set up and do not just like a text-based highlight. You can come in here and you can actually come in and you can select an image for what you might want as a highlight in here. So like if I want to add just an area and be able to select that, it will just give me this here for the highlight. You can even put tags on the highlight. You saw how it kind of prompted to add a tag at the time I created this. We can come in here, we can change the colors. If we want to have text-based highlight there, we have to have some text we can select, and we can do that. We can add a tag directly from there to this highlight, and yeah, it's pretty flexible here. And if we were to come over here and let's go to a PDF and see if we can card type, let's hide all, go to PDF, come here, we'll open that up, and if we're in here, as I mentioned, we can use this option here to select an area. So I'll select this area here, and that is there. And we can also come in here and we have a highlighter mode where we can highlight the text there. We can click on here and we can change, say, the color of that text. We can add a note in there. We can copy this link. We can copy this highlight. We can add this to a whiteboard, and we can delete it from here. If I select on this one here, you can see we can change the colors on here also, and yeah, all the same options that are there. Now if I came into the library, it's not showing that table, but we do have the highlights for this that are shown here on the side. We can add in the notes, and everything. So a little bit of a different system than you have over here on the Noteey side, which are showing there. Here you get somewhat of a what you typically get in a PDF viewer annotator type application. This one here is a little bit different because of this particular separation that you have for these. You can come in here and you can locate your highlight using that little locator tool. If I want to locate the highlight, I can just click on the highlight here and it takes me to where I need to go. You also have the same type of functionality if you're on a whiteboard and you have the highlight on your whiteboard, where it will let you locate and bring up the actual PDF in a side view. So if I was to come over here, let me see, let's choose the lab one there, and let's see if we can get this going. We have this locate, and we can see it brought up the actual video. And one differentiation here that is kind of a big one is that the annotation for on the Noteey side, you can annotate way more things. So as I showed, where in the library here, if I was to click on the library, you have all these different highlight or card types. All the ones here with highlights is what you can actually do highlights on, and you have way more options for either highlighting or taking notes over on the Noteey side, because you can take notes on videos, as you just saw here, where I have these examples of where you can take notes on videos, where you can set up the stop time. If I click on this one here, we can add notes to this particular part of the video. You can set up an end time here. You can have it loop if you want to. So you can even take the screenshot that you want to have shown for this particular highlight or note for this video here. And yeah, you can do this with audio, and you can do this with PDFs just like you could on the Heptabase side, but Heptabase does not give you the ability to do the highlights on the cards and on the videos and on the audio from my knowledge here. So if I was to come in here and let's just do one on a card, so let's open up here, and if I was to come in here, I can change the text color here. So I can change the background color and do this, but this does not add an additional highlight card per se, like you get over on the Noteey side. So these are all your options over here. If I was to come over here and I was to do a card, let's just take this card here. Let's go in, open this in the sidebar, and let's just do some text right there. What I would do is I can highlight or just drag and kind of select all this text that I want, and I can come over here and I can click highlight. Now I can change the background color similar to what I did over in Heptabase, but if I want to have a dedicated highlight card for this, so let's just say you basically copied and pasted a whole bunch of stuff in here from a website or wherever, and you're reading through it and you want to leave some notes, I can come in here and I can do that from here. I can give it a tag if I want to there, and this highlight now is an actual card that lives in the library. I can even bring that highlight specific to that over here, and I can put that on the board. If I just want this on the board, I can remove this one off the board if I don't want that one now. So now I just have the highlight, and actually I can even leave notes for this particular highlight here for that card. So we can see how much more powerful I guess the annotating and note taking of different things are on the Noteey side versus the Heptabase side, where you're kind of limited into what you can create these kind of highlights for. And when you create the highlights over on the Heptabase side, you have no filtering options. This stuff just, I don't know, to me this seems a bit cluttered, and it's hard to really organize it. You can search obviously, but yeah, you can't really do any filtering options to group things, and yeah, it kind of is what it is. So just want to show that difference in the functionality and the user experience. All right, so the apps and other areas here, let's keep moving on. We have favorites here. You have these tab groups, and so these are somewhat similar in how they work. Down here you get the recents that are shown to you. You can come in here You can say move this object to a particular tag group. If you want to pin this, you can pin it, and then it comes here up here in this pinned area. You can change this particular group, which is a bit different than what you get over in on the Noteey side, where you can have these tab groups, and these tab groups have different folders with different pinned items in them. So you can change your view from, say, work and personal and have it set up that way, or you can see here I have para and then just this basic object one to show people and to show books. So similar type functionality, but this option gives a bit more flexibility because you do have the tabs. Over here you only have a flat, say, view where you can create folders, and then you can put things in folders, or you can leave them on the top, but you don't have that tab group where you have different groupings of these pinned items or favorites. Now, another thing from a tag perspective is that, and this is a big differentiation currently, because I think there's going to be a future release on the Noteey side that's going to enhance their tags and properties. But right now, Noteey has no super tag type functionality, and if you want to get a feature similar to this, where you click on, you have a tag and then you have a tag with properties, you will need to use Heptabase in this particular realm. So in here you have these tags, and you can set up these different views on the tags, and then you can also have these different properties that you have here. So if you want to do certain things like show the progress of the books that you're reading, you can put this in a Kanban view, and you can do it that way. You can just have a table view, and you can set up different properties around the status, around the different type of medium. If you have contacts, you can do contacts, and whatever you think up in here you can do. You even have relations type properties here where I can link out to other cards. So this is pretty cool. Yeah, I really think from a tag perspective, the super tag type functionality with properties does add a good amount of functionality that some people might love here. And you can also, once you from this view here, you can actually come in here and you can do filtering options and do searches as well. So this is a pretty flexible way to be able to organize different stuff that's in your Heptabase environment. Now, just a few more things here, and then we'll wrap this up. This is a very long video, but these are two applications that have a lot going on with them. So there's really a lot to talk about, and I'm not going to be able to get to everything. But let's go ahead and dig a little bit deeper into a few more things here. Like in the settings, Noteey has some options that you can configure your environment. So on the home screen here, or the home preferences, this allows you to customize this left side pane here. So you can see I have the recents turned off. I don't really like showing the recents along the side here all that much, so I can turn that off. I can turn off favorites, I can turn off highlights. You can literally just turn off basically everything in here, except for, you can see you cannot hide the projects and you cannot hide the library. And I can save that, and this is all you get. So you get this minimalistic view. So when you log in, this is all you get. Or again, you can kind of mix and match what you might want to see from this here. So if you don't use the journal, never show the journal. It won't kind of attract or take your attention away from anything else. So all right, I do like this functionality here. We'll go ahead and save that back to where it was. You have some global preferences on how you want certain things to look like, and you have backup options. You do get automated backups here. You can set up your location for those, and occasionally if you want to do a manual backup, you can set up that and have it go to a different location. The auto backup only backs up the database, so all those files and things that go into your folder, like images and say Word docs, Excel files, any videos that you might dump in there, all those typically go to a folder on your file system. Those do not get backed up with the auto backup feature. This is mainly just your settings, all the information and metadata that is needed for you to access any physical files that are on your actual file system. All that stuff is here. So if you ever have any kind of issue with something within from a database perspective, like the library just ended up missing but the files are still there, then you can always just restore this, and as long as your files have not been changed or moved or or whatever, then everything should start working well. Now, if you have your entire machine just gets foobarred, these full backups is where you want to do a full backup, because this will contain all of the raw files and information as well as the database stuff in it. You can come in here and set up a sync directory. So if you want to be able to sync between multiple devices, you can leverage a third-party cloud provider like or a cloud service like Google Drive or iCloud, OneDrive, and you can set up a folder there. And then Noteey has a mechanism for kind of dropping mainly like a backup file in that area, as well as all your other media files that sits in your file system get stored there as well, so that syncs across to your other devices. And then when you open it up, when you open up the application, it kind of pulls in that backup file and restores it into this environment, so that whatever was last saved to the cloud storage is what you import, and then when you close it, it will actually save everything to that same folder, so that the next time you open it, whether you're on this device or that device, then it will get imported, as long as your third-party provider is syncing those files the way they need to. So that's the only kind of, I guess, downside on this side, is that you are reliant on the third-party service provider, and if anything stops working on that side, you're not really notified here in Noteey. It doesn't really know whether the file was synced or not, so it's just going to take whatever lives in that directory as gospel. So the other things you have in here is you have the import options. So as I mentioned before, you can either copy everything into Noteey's environment, so it's in there in its folder structure and it's dedicated to Noteey, or you can do a link mode option where the file will not be moved into Noteey, but it will just link out to the file in its current location. You can have this either ask you all the time, or you can set up a default option here that you want to have done every time. So these are pretty good. And over here on the Heptabase side, there's really not much you can change in here in the way of preferences. You can change the theme. You can do the same thing over on the Noteey side. You have the space name. You can do a web clipper here. You can disable your readwise connection. You can set up backups here in a backup location. This will do the auto backups here. You can do a manual backup as well. And over here, the backup here is, even though it shows a manual backup, it is more of an export. Because over here, when you do an export from using this particular option, it actually just exports everything to a local file, and it converts everything, or at least all the card stuff, to markdown files, and also your mind maps. And the export here is exceptional. That's one thing I really did kind of blow my mind when I saw the export that they provide, and it kind of sets a standard, in my opinion, of what any export should look like coming from these types of tools. So, but you cannot do a restore of this export technically back into the Heptabase environment and then have it look just like the environment was before it had an issue. If you want to do some kind of restore, what you're more than likely going to have to do is go to the auto backup itself and then do it from that method. And also, as you can see here, is that these are some advanced options. So if you have any types of issues, you might want to contact the support team on this stuff. But you do also get versioning, and you have your trash that you can go into if you are missing something. It may one of those options may help you out and get your information back. The advanced here, we can deactivate the cloud sync, so you can be offline if you don't want to have the cloud sync. You can be offline, and also if we want to see our subscription, we can see that here. All right, so in summary, we've kind of did our somewhat of a long-winded comparison of these two tools, but the differences between these two tools do come apparent once you start digging into them. They're both great tools to leverage depending on your use case. You will obviously can choose one or the other. If you want to buy both, then that's completely up to you. From a financial standpoint, you will get a one-time purchase for the Noteey app. So if you're concerned about money and spending too much money on an application, and you want to spend as least amount of money and get the most amount of value, I will say Noteey is the option for you. If you want something that's a bit more polished, so that the money that you are spending, at least you know that you're getting a system that's less buggy, then you will want to go with the Heptabase option. But at some point, Heptabase is constantly working, or Noteey, I should say, is constantly working on this app and releasing updates. So the bugs will be to a point to where they're, not too big of an issue. Actually, the last 3 releases previous to this video have been mostly nothing but quality of life and bug fixes, so no new features. So I think the feature list is going to slow down as far as new features, and they're going to continue the work on fixing bugs and getting things tweaked to where it needs to be. Now, the standout features between these two is, we can start with Heptabase. Heptabase has artificial intelligence. They have a Readwise connection if you want that. They have excellent multi-device support with sync. And when I say multi-device, it also includes mobile. And then they have a podcast feature where you can import podcasts and generate insights on that there. You have collaboration features. The Noteey application has no collaboration at all. So if you do need to collaborate with other people, then Heptabase is going to be the one to go with, and you can collaborate on the cards, and you can also collaborate at the board level. You have the super tag type functionality with Heptabase, and you also have better task management options within Heptabase. Now on the Noteey side, you get a well-rounded canvas that really gives you a creative whiteboarding workspace to work in, where you can leverage shapes, you can do drawing, you have layers, which I actually didn't even show in the video here, but you have different layers that you can put objects that are on your board in, and you also have icons as well that you can put on your boards. You have more highlighting option, or you can say annotation type options, where you can annotate videos, audio. You can even annotate the text cards that you have within the environment here. And then it's local first. So if you have privacy concerns, then this one might be a better fit for you. You can use Heptabase offline, but I would say Noteey is, its philosophy of local first is, right now I think is better, just because there's no attachment to the cloud per se, other than there is one thing, is if you have a license, you will need to validate your license online. I think it's once every 30 days, but that's only for validating your license. On the Heptabase side, if you do go fully offline, you still need to log into the app. So once you're logged out, you will need an internet connection to log into the app. But you can turn off the syncing part of it so that your data is not going to the cloud and to other devices. So still a little bit, if on the Heptabase side you are required to log into it, you're not even required to log into the Noteey app. So you can download it for free. You can use the free version. You don't even have to create an account in order to use it. So if you're, again, from a privacy, local first standpoint, I think Noteey is built at its core for that. You do get the link file functionality, so you don't have to drag and drop every file that you want to leverage in Noteey into Noteey. You can just have a linked file card within the library. You can also embed things from, say, from Google Docs and Google Sheets. So certain embeddable content can be done without having to actually drag all that content into there as well. You get image OCR, so if you want object character recognition for your images, then you have that option, which you do not get with the Heptabase side. And you also get floating cards within the Noteey application as well. So a lot of differences from one app to the other. I will say if you're someone that's really just more focused on researching information and bringing out your resources and stuff like that for more research focused scenarios, then Heptabase is great. If you're more of a creative and you want to do all kind of different things, not just research, maybe mood boards, you want handwriting within your notes that you're doing, and maybe you're just linking connections and stuff by hand at first using a pen input device on a device that supports it. That works very well. If you want more type diagramming type of flows and just things that are a bit more creative than just having a text card or a flat image on the screen, or even a link to a video type of stuff. Anything beyond that, Noteey in most cases will be able to handle right out of the box, and it has way more creative whiteboarding functionality than you get from the Heptabase side. So two different worlds. If you're more of a creative, or if you're more of a just research type text-based thinking, text-based visual note-taking type of environment, you can kind of split these two apps up into those type of camps. The good thing is that on the Noteey side, you can do it all. So if you want to have the research, you can do the research, but you can't go the other way around. So if you go with Heptabase and then you see that you want to have all those other features, you're going to have to leave the app and go to a different app in order to do it, because it's not built in. So make your choice wisely. Hope this video helps people out in making their choice on which one of these that they want to go with. Remember also that everything that I've discussed in this video is based on the time of this video, because both of these apps are iterating pretty rapidly, especially Noteey. So if there's any updates, I'll definitely have to do another video that compares both of these tools. But I'm definitely going to keep watching these tools. My choice out of these apps, if it's not apparent, is Noteey. So there probably some bias that's coming out, because that's a tool that I use on a daily basis. But I will say that the Heptabase product, there are no faults with it. I have really no faults, other than the AI in particular, that I'm not sure what happened there, but I don't like the general insights that were provided, and really wish that they would have given access to a prompt or some kind of configuration to where I can prompt and leverage AI the way that I want to actually prompt it to do certain things. But outside of that, Heptabase is way more polished. Their collaboration is great. They're publishing to the web way better than Noteey at this time. So if you're sharing anything to other people and you want it to be consistent and you want to be able to rely on your sharing features, then it's going to be hit or miss with Noteey. So you will have to kind of go through those growing pains right now until they really kind of button things up fully, and you're going to be without access to any of the information on mobile and other devices that don't support. Well, I think Linux is probably not supported. I think Mac and Windows are your main applications that you're going to get the Noteey app on, because there is no web-based, other than they did release a web version of it, but it's not keeping up with the versioning. It's kind of just one of those things to kind of throw out there so that people can kind of get their feet wet on the application, but I would not recommend using it at all, unless, again, you're just kind of dipping your toes in the water to see what Noteey has to offer before it releases a true application to the web and to mobile further down the road. Alright, so that's going to be it for this video. If you like the content, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and until the next time, have a nice day.